Good afternoon, everybody. So just by a show of hands, thumbs up, reaction buttons, whatever it might be, can you hear me clearly? If you can hear me clearly, I just want to see a response and that. So there's a little bit of response. There's videos off, so I can't see them shaking their hands, so or the heads or something. So I believe Alexander and this is Marina. I'm trying to figure out because I'm learning Ukrainian. Probably in about 10 years I'll master it, so I'll get there. Ego, you asked a question about transformational coaching. If I'm not mistaken, you asked about that, right? And the question that I'm sitting with is, what about coaching is not transformational? So if we're looking at transformational coaching as a particular niche, what about any other niche of coaching? Is that not transformational? When I look at coaching, I'm looking at coaching into helping our clients to transform from where they are now to where they want to be within the context of where we serve them. So executive coaching, we are trying to transform, help our executive to transform from the way of leadership, the way of running the boards, the way of operations, the way they're doing it now, which is serving them well or not so well, to a point where we help them to transform to the next level where they can actually achieve what they want to achieve. So today we're going to talk about exploring your potential, specifically as the coach. And the question is, what is it that we want to explore and why is it that we want to explore? So what I will ask though, I'm going to have some interactive moments and I can see everything is typed in Ukrainian. So I'm not sure if I can translate it to English, but so I'm not so much as a one-way talker. I like to have engagement with people. So I'm going to ask you to play with me and just to kind of share some ideas as we move together. So Igor, I hope that I've kind of almost answered you, if I can put it that way. So hoping that there's some kind of a response to the question that you had earlier. Cool. So now we've got, so Steve has shared this with you, the 4 main focus areas. Now, the one area that I want to focus on is our vision. So Steve had explained all the other things. For me, key thing. And Igor, so yeah, there we go. Come back to transforming, right? So we look at what's ICF's vision. A world where coaching is an integral part of transforming society. Now, which societies are we talking about? We all live within a society of some sort. When you're at home, you live within that community, within that society. When you go to work, where you travel, you are in a society, in a particular society. And each one of these societies has got a transformation journey that they are on. When we look at where we are today compared to where we were 10 years ago, compared to 20 years ago, we are completely different. Our setups are different. Our experiences in life are different. It has all evolved. And if we were not transforming, we would be left behind. I will still be making fire to cook my food in South Africa. And then it's like, I won't be able to get frustrated when my microwave doesn't work, which is like a big problem in my house. When the microwave doesn't work, the Wi-Fi is down, there's trouble in the house. Like, but guys, 10 years ago, but then again, we can't live 10 years today. Is part to be an integral and integrated. In other words, of while they are transforming. When we had our previous vision, it says it's the integral part of thriving societies, almost looking at once a society is thriving, then coaching will be there. But coaching has got a real life, everyday opportunity to impact society in one way or the other. And that's where we look at what are the type of coaching that we need to do. But we're not here to unpack everybody's niche. We are here to talk about exploring our potential. Now, when we look at exploring our potential, I like this quote by Michelle Fendlin. He says, there's no greater journey than the one that you must take to discover all of the mysteries that lie within you. And that is important. So when we work with our clients, what is it that we are actually trying to help our clients get there? So for us as well, on a daily journey, what is it that we're looking for? Do we actually believe that there's something about myself I do not know? There's something about my relationships and the way I show up that I may not know. It's a mystery to me at the moment, but it's about bringing the mystery into our awareness. And once we have the awareness, we can build the capacity and the capability to deal with whatever it is that we are battling with. So this is one of the key when we come to exploring ourselves, our potential. When we look at exploring, and maybe this is where I can come in. So exploring is literally to discover something that did not exist or known to you. When we explore, you go to a new country, you go to a new city, you go to a new job. What do? You start exploring, you start walking around. Then you are surprised by some things which are great and you actually enjoy them. Then you are looking at some things and you say, no, that's a problem there. I don't like that. And so as we explore, we grow. Because things that was not known to us then is known to us now. Context that was not known to us previously is known to us now. So when we explore ourselves, what do you think is it that we're trying to explore? That is something that we need to look at. What about me is it that I want to get to know? What about me is it that I want to do? So our title is Exploring Your Own Potential. So when we look at potential, what is potential? Potential, and this is my own Malcolm Fiellies dictionary, né? So it's not necessarily in Oxford or Webster or all of those things. But when I look at a potential, and I always translate it back to when I work with my clients, it's about creating opportunities to grow. In other words, I am in this particular situation now. But when I look at it and we say that there's potential, it means I don't have to get stuck here. I don't have to only know this. I don't only have to do it in this way. There are different ways of doing it. I might not know it, but there are. There's something that I always kind of look at. There's two words that carries me through life, I suppose. And that is the words not yet. Not yet. Why is that important to me? Just because I can't do it today doesn't mean I cannot do it in a year's time. So in my spare time, if I can put it that way, and I might not look at like this, I'm a bit big now, but in my spare time, I run. I do marathons, I do ultra marathons. Now I can tell you now that when I started my journey weighing 100 kilograms in 2008, I never thought in my wildest dreams I'll be able to run Comrades Marathon, which is a road race from one part of Durban to another part, a total of 90 kilometers. Because even taking that first few 3-kilometer run that I did the first time, and everything burned, my lungs burned, my muscles burned, my legs burned, and everything was just going crazy. I was like, how am I ever going to come up to the level of these guys? So in 2008, I could not yet run 90 kilometers. I could do up to 10. But as time goes by, I was able to do it. So when we look at our potential and we want to explore our potential as a coach, the question that I'm sitting with, what is it that you want to explore about yourself? What is the potential that you want to see within yourself? And we all use this cliche that we need to become the best versions of ourselves. What does that mean for you as a coach? When we start our coaching journey, we go through our certification and we're like, milestone complete. Then we go through ACC, milestone complete. Then we go to PCC, milestone complete. And then we come to MCC, milestone beginning. So what's Malcolm saying? MCC, milestone beginning. There's something about within there, and I'm sure you've engaged with a lot of, and some of you might be MCCs, is that you actually realize that from moving from mastering the coaching competencies, you transform your coaching practice and your way of coaching from mastering the competencies to masterful coaching. And that is something that we are journeying on. So when we look at exploring our potential as a coach, the potential for me and the transformation for me that needs to happen for us doesn't matter which credential you got, ACC, PCC, MCC, or just a member. It doesn't matter if you today just finished your certification or if you did it 10 years ago. But there's something that we're all striving towards, and that is to move from just coaching to mastering those competencies, to mastering the skill, to actually being a masterful coach, where I'm able to ask the right question at the right time, with the right impact for my client? And how do I serve my client best? So that is just some of my thoughts that I'm coming up here with this. And exploring our potential really there's an important element to it. So this is from the website, simplycoach.com, right? And so Naya gave us these qualities that she believes is the qualities of a good coach: driven, non-judgmental, compassionate, curious, observant, professional, and trustworthy. Igor, I see your camera open, and I really appreciate that. So now I know I'm talking to someone. May I ask you a question? Are you okay for me to ask you a question? Okay. Igor, if you have to add any other qualities to this for being a good coach, if you have to add one to this list, what would you say will make a great coach? And maybe Natalia after that can give us also just one. What would you say, what will make us a great coach?
Yes. In chat, I see courage. Courage.
Courage, definitely.
And
courage.
Courage. Yes. Good questions. For me, I would like to share. It's my favorite topic for discussion, and for me, it's about curiosity. To save our little child inside, and every day to discover and develop the world. Yes, to understand how everything works.
Yes. So curiosity, yeah. And then I'm seeing humanity from Alexander. So when we look at all of those things, question is, are we there? Are we there? Potential can only exist if we're not there yet. And not that we'll never get there, but we'll get there. So when you look at humanity, and Alexander, thank you very much for that one. When you look at humanity, what does that mean? And does it mean that I can actually see the person for who they are? Imagine you are a coach or you're a coaching client and your coach is judgmental. Like, Malcolm, I think you must just do this kind of thing, right? And everything is like, you can see from the entire body language. So do I understand that as a coach, I've got the responsibility to create a particular environment for my client, and how comfortable am I? I remember when I did my first coaching session while I was doing my my certification, I was trying to tick off each and every competency. And trying to do that, I did not create space for the client to be comfortable. Because in my head, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute, is it active listening? Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? So we actually need to look at it in terms of, let me step back. Where am I in relation to what my client needs? The humanity part is a very important part because that kind of summarizes a lot of these things that we've got here. If humanity becomes important to me, the way I interact with my client, the way I interact with myself and present myself within a coaching session or with even in this community that I'm at, I will not be judgmental, but I will be curious. I will be curious about you as a person. So how many times do I maybe sit as a coach and do parallel processing? So while the person is talking, you are going on your own journey because you had a similar experience. Why is it when the person is talking and you've dealt with something with it in a different way, and now in your mind is like, can't they just see it? What does that say to you about a coach, of you as a coach? And this is where we need to step in to say, my potential as a coach is driven by the opportunity that I can create for my client. And am I creating the appropriate opportunities for my client so that they can achieve the goal? Remember, coaching is a very selfless, call it, method of working with a client. Selfless in the sense that it is really not about me, it's about you. Success is not determined by me, it is determined by the client. And can we step up into that and actually work with that? And I'm seeing a few other comments just coming through here about awareness. Yes, awareness is very important. A coach that is not aware of themselves is a dangerous coach, if I have to put it that way. When we are aware about ourselves, when you're able to feel bad about something that you did, you actually have an awareness, which is good, because then you can do something about it. Some people, they step into, and sometimes our clients also, they've got no awareness about themselves. They step into their careers, they step into their team, and they don't realize the impact that they have on that team. A very holistic approach, integral and holistic. Thank you for that. And then Ego, I cannot understand what you wrote there, but I'm sure Alina will translate it for me into English. So that's all good. So these are some of the qualities that we've got as a coach. What is it that you are personally striving towards? So what's the potential in yourself that you would like to explore and see what it is that you can do to improve yourself as a coach? Now, Timothy Gallwey, and this is something that I use with all my clients, right? So performance is determined by my client, whatever that performance might be. And it can be the increase in revenue, it can be the increase in terms of making a relationship better with somebody, dealing with people differently, whatever performance might mean for my client. Now, if we want to increase our performance, there's two elements that we want to work on. One, to increase performance, I need to increase potential. If I can increase my potential, I can increase my performance. So coming back to, let's make an example of a client of a coaching client. The coaching client says, I would like to be able to deliver a particular presentation in a particular way. That's what they determine in terms of what their performance will be. So what is the potential that they have? We assess what is their current potential. You are able to speak. That's number one. Number two, the other potential that you have is that you've got PowerPoints and things that can help you. So how do we increase that? Maybe we need to teach you another skill. You need to go for certain competencies or whatever it might be, right? So that's increasing that potential. In order to increase potential, your performance, you increase potential, but you must decrease your interference. If the interferences are higher than the potential, your performance will go down. So what are some of the interferences? And so just as an example, these are some of the things. So when you look at things that we come back, and this is when you want to maybe define for yourself now, as a coach, if I link performance, or I can change the word to anything else, what would that be that I need to increase? What do I want to explore? What is it about me as a coach that I want to increase? Then I look at what are the potentials that I need to increase. So do I need to have more technical skills? Is there a relational element to this? Do I need to be more innovative? What is my communication style and how do I need to do that? What are my personal attributes and environment that will improve the potential for me to be able to learn? Now, I'm not sure. I mean, I study and I learn with music in my ears, focused, than in a silent library. Because that potential of the understanding is if the environment is that we look at potential, different things, some examples. Some of the interferences that we've got is our environment. Maybe there's some emotional blockages. Now, I worked with a client, we worked with a team, and the manager told me, he says, Malcolm, the interference in this team is that bloody cell phone. If we can get rid of the cell phones, this team will have the best production ever. So I asked him the question, I said, is it the cell phone or is it the person? You're talking about time management as well. Is it the time or is it the person? Because that cell phone, the mother who's got a sick child at home, the cell phone is the only connection to her child at that point in time because she has to be at work. When you look at these interferences, we need to look at how does that impact us and why are they there? More than those transactional ones, when we look to the last three on this slide in terms of interferences, we've got this negative self-talk, where we don't actually have confidence in ourselves. Lack of confidence, self-doubt is like, yes, but I can do it. So today we're not focusing on the interferences, we're going to focus on the potential. And the question is, as a coach, what is the potential that you need to explore? What are the options? What are the possibilities that exist there for you as a coach to grow? And there are various ways. You can do it from technical skills. You can do it from your interpersonal skills, whatever that might be for you. And the one thing I like about coaching is I don't have to prescribe to you what it is that you need to do. Now, a big thing is I want to actually come to this. So benefits, once we increase our potential, we got an expanded level of confidence. What you could not do before, you can do now. So now you feel more comfortable about it. Once I increase my potential, my ability to engage with my clients, my ability to engage just with new markets, whatever that might be, increases because I've now tapped into that potential. I've expanded my skills. So the work that I do, I don't do them in the same way anymore. And something for coaches that for me that's very important. And one of the reasons why we've got CTEs that you need to gather over your 3-year period is to make sure that you expand your skills, because life moves forward, people move forward. There's a transformation journey that everybody goes through. So if you use exactly the same skills as what you did in 2015, you will probably have exactly the same clients only. Then we got the improved level of efficiencies and effectiveness and trust, which is the major currency for a coach. If there's no trust between you and your client, there is a problem. Your client will not open up. You cannot journey and partner with your client. Remember, a partnership is what makes coaching quite different to some of the other modalities out there. Is that we're partnering with our client to unlock untapped potential and imaginations and creativity. So when we look at this, for us to be effective, we need to have increased and substantial levels of trust from our clients with us. And when I look at trust, this is my little trust pyramid that I normally use as well. If you're going to trust Malcolm, there's these 3 things that you want to look at for Malcolm specifically. You might have your own, call it trust model or whatever it might be, but this is the one that I prefer personally for myself, is when we look at competence, you trust somebody when they are able to do what they need to do. So what are the competencies that I need to have to do my job? An accountant who cannot read debits and credits does not have the competency to be an accountant. So we need to build that competency in him or her to become competent as an accountant. So when somebody is able to do the skills and abilities, then we kind of have a level of trust. Now you will see that or hear that I say a level of trust, not necessarily full trust, because competency is only one element. Now you can be highly competent, but your character is somewhat desirable. In other words, you have a commanding control style of leadership. So you are quite skilled, but your character just makes it awkward for us to work with you. So when we look at trust, we need the competencies, but we also need the character. How is that character? So when you want to build trust with your clients, have you noticed that trust with your clients initially is built based on your character, your ability to engage with them, your ability to make them feel in a certain way. And from there, your coaching skills, I've never heard any of my clients ask me, Malcolm, what's your coaching model? Based on the engagement with me and the character that I have, they assume that my competency is there until we get into the session. And then obviously it gets revealed to them in one way. And then we've got consistency. And you will see that consistency is one of those things that it needs to be part of my DNA, part of my journey, consistently. My competence is always there. My character is always there. I'm not Jekyll and then Hyde on one day, etc. So they can trust me. They can trust that I'm actually going to be honest with them to say, today is not a good day for me. Or today is like, I can see and that, whatever that might be. So when we look at those 3 elements, we want to make sure to build trust. And once you increase your potential, you've actually increased it's got a direct relationship to the amount of trust that your client will have with you. And these are just some of the things that you can consider under competence, under character, and under the consistency. Literally, I remember I worked with a sales team, and every year, December, January to September, the income and the contracts is like this at the bottom here. The budget is there, and then they are here. And so we can see there's a big disconnect. And everybody starts panicking by September. And I'm like not panicking because I know these guys. They need a bonus. They are incentivized. So what they do is they push through. And then suddenly in December, whoop, they outperform. And then we changed it. We said, we don't want one night wonders. We want consistency. We need to be able to trust you that you can deliver this consistently. And we changed the remuneration model. And for some reason, quarterly, we were hitting our target quite well. From there, we didn't sit, you don't have to manage them. You don't have to do it because you can trust them. They got the competencies, they got the character, and they can deliver consistently. When we look at a transformation of a coach for us, so I'm speaking about my personal journey here, is really from mastering coaching to becoming a masterful coach. And in that, there are certain things that I need to do. So I need to build competency, yes. I also need to build and work and get an awareness about myself. Because when you get masterful, it's not just about knowing. It's in the way you are doing and the way you are being. And that helps us a lot in terms of when we consider just how our journey goes forward. So why explore your potential? Exploring potential as a coach is number one, is that we want to serve our clients better. We want to be masterful coaches. I'm doing my MCC at the moment, but I'm way off with my hours. So everybody's asking me, Malcolm, why are you doing it now? All your mentor coaching sessions and all those things now, and you're not even close to getting your hours. I mean, I've got another, probably like 1,000 and something hours to go. And I was like, it's not about the credential for me. It's about the skill of being a masterful coach. That when somebody leaves my presence, even in a normal conversation, they can leave there with a new thought, something that inspired them, or something that actually is working good for them. Also, when we explore our potential as a coach, we are able to support other coaches, and we contribute to the coaching body of knowledge. Because when I explore my own potential, I discover new things. When I discover new things, I'm able to serve my client better. I'm being more masterful. I can support other coaches and say, look at what I've discovered. Look at what I have achieved. Can you kind of do it for yourself or mentor them in one way or the other? And then somehow the body of and the evidence-based coaching kind of increase, because now you can write a paper about it. You can do something with that information. I'm going to pause there for just, let me do this one more and then we can take questions. Ideas to grow as you explore, right? So number one, expand your awareness of the market. Igor asked the question about transformational coaching. There are different niches that's out there, and depending on what market you want to play in. I prefer generally to play within the entrepreneurial market, working with entrepreneurs, working with the Department of Health, those kind of things. That for me is important. But looking at that is got one set of skills that needed from me. And when I look at, if I want to grow my market, what is that skills that I need? I can only explore to grow if I know where to grow to. So expand your awareness about the market. Make sure that you keep your ear and your eyes around what are the certain things, environmental factors that is affecting that particular market. We cannot do anything without awareness of ourselves. To solicit feedback in one way or the other about your own strengths and your own areas of growth. Listen to what your clients are saying after they have worked with you. Listen to what your peers are saying. Listen to what other coaches are saying. And then enroll in whatever competency building courses that you need to. So if you want to do ontological coaching and you think that's going to help you, enroll in that and help that to support you. If there's a tool that you want to do, MBTI, Enneagram, whatever it might be, insights, that will help you, because that will also drive your experience. So I'm not a tool-based person, and I love the Enneagram, but it's not something that I use as a primary. What I understand is, how do I know what's relevant for my client? And that building on that competency, of course, is about being more important. For my one of us will have a different journey. It's fine. Coach is different to you. Somebody that is young, different, whatever it may be, you, because now you need to deal and you need to collaborate with somebody and get to understand them and see that how with our differences we can coexist, how with our differences we can actually leverage as opposed to lose, and then accept opportunities that will challenge you, be a mentor and will support the upcoming coaches, and then get involved in local chapter and global chapter activities and committees. What you put in is what you're going to get out. So that is a key thing that we always need to look at, is to say, if I want certain things from this organization, what is it that I'm willing to put in? So having said all of that, let's pause and then take some questions and things like that. Alina, I know it's a shorter version of the presentation that you wanted me to do. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Thank you, Malcolm, for your presentation. Колеги, будь ласка, у нас ще є 20 хвилин на ваші питання. Простір ваш, давайте його...
We still have 20 minutes for Q&A, so you have this as a space for doing this.
I'm seeing a comment from Igor. He says, by transformational coaching, I meant unlocking the potential right during the session inside the inner state of the client. Thank you. Yeah, and I think, I mean, that for me is essentially what we want to do. In each one of our sessions, that's what you want to unlock. There's something in your client that you want to lock, and that potential. Igor, thank you for that. And just thank you also for highlighting it, that we need to be actually intentional about it as we go on. Yeah.
Колеги, ще є питання?
Alexander has got his hand up.
Hello, Malcolm. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your presentation and for such a emotional and sharing your experience. And my question is about, not about the coaching. My question about how you became ultra marathoner. How are you getting from this very low point in this qualification of running to the top tier? What is the way? Because actually a couple of words didn't explain everything. What kind of mindset you've used to make this a journey? Because it's for me, it's very similar how we are going from the beginning coaching to the masterful coach. Can you share those parallels, please?
Yeah. So thanks, Alexander. So one of the key things, if you want to move, and there's a lot of self-doubt that normally happens within me generally. And so I always question my abilities, and I never feel confident in any of my abilities. And so I started in 2008. I needed to lose weight. I was 174 and weighing 100 kilograms. Now, you can imagine me at 100 kilograms, I'm like another half of me, and going up one flight of stairs. Now, when we look at the reason for my start running, it was because there was a pressure point and a pain point and something I could no longer live with. I looked at my daughter was young at that time. She was 3 years old. And I was like, what kind of life am I going to live with my daughter being 3 years old, still having a whole life ahead of her, and I can't? So the key thing for me was a driver to say, I need to do something. Started, and then one of my friends said, okay, let's make a deal. I'll come play squash with you, because I believed I was a very professional squash player. So professional that I played what I term for fun, because whoever I played with, whether they just started or the Olympic quality squash player, I always lost. So I moved from professional to fun only, Alexander, so I couldn't do that. So he said, let me come play squash with you and you come run with me. I never in my life thought that I would ever do Comrades Marathon. In South Africa, we've got this thing, and due to the apartheid era that we had, remember, we were very closed in. If you called yourself a runner, but you only did 10K, nobody took note of you. They said, well done, there, but then they ignore you. Your mark as a runner in South Africa is you must do Comrades, 90 kilometers on the road. What the journey was like was to start with 3 kilometers, run, walk. From there, you move into running 3 kilometers. Then you move. So it's a step-by-step process of, and the way I look at it is growth, adaptation, growth, adaptation. So we have a growth period. So even in our journey as coaches, there's a growth period in my certification. Then it stabilizes and I adapt and my muscles get used to that. And I'm comfortable with that. Then the next layer is let me grow again. And so after my certification, then it's let me become a member. That challenges me in a certain way. So moving from 3Ks to 10Ks to 15Ks, then moving into the marathon, there's something about our personality that's important to keep you through. And that is your level of resilience that you have. Now, resilience does not exist within a vacuum. Resilience exists within the power of your mind, the strength of you being able to convince yourself at 60 kilometers that there's only 30 to go. And that in yourself to be able to say, and everything in your body is paining, how am I going to move forward? In our coaching journey, it's exactly the same. I'm losing clients, I'm gaining clients. This one is no longer working with me. Da, 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 da. Those are all things that brings in like those pain points where we're like, is this all worth it again? But if we get the mindset to say, I can push through. And the beautiful thing about comrades is, I remember my very first one in 2010. I felt so lost by 63K. Everything was aching. I was feeling delusional and that. What happens in comrades is that runners understand the pain. So what I got 2 runners that came with me. They walked with me. We literally walked 10 seconds, run 10 seconds, walk 10 seconds, and they took care of me for 3 kilometers. In our coaching journey, exactly the same. We can't do it on our own. It becomes a lonely profession. But if we are willing to take those with us, and there's something that happens, and on my slide, I mentioned like mentor and support other coaches. Why is that important? When you support someone else, you forget about your own problems and you actually grow to deal with your own problems. And that is something that is very important, is that by giving, you actually receive. And so within the running as well, it was moving from that and getting the mindset that we need to finish this race. I also have I've got my accountability kind of buddy, which is my son. He's 12 years old now. He is very competitive. He does not believe that I've run a race if I don't bring a medal home. If there's no medal, where were you? And you were not with us, why did you spend your time there? You said you're going to go run. You said you're doing this race. So my driver for performing in my running is my kid. And so we need that accountability. Somebody that's going to ask you the question, where's that medal? Where's that credential? Where's this? Where's that? You said that you're going to work with this type of client, maybe in the NGO space. So when is that happening? You need somebody to probe those questions so that it keeps you accountable to the decisions that you have made. Have you noticed that it's not the decision that my son has made? It's the decision that I have made. He's just looking for the evidence of that decision. And so in our coaching journey, that is an important element, is to actually support one another. And that's why we have a community of a chapter, is to actually say, as a community here, we want to support each other. Now, I've worked with many chapters where it's about, people ask me, what is the value? And I'm saying, I can give you the list of everything that ICF can offer you, including free website. That doesn't mean anything unless you are willing to say, let me give. And in giving, I actually receive. I have a voice. Let me serve on the global board. Let me serve on the chapter board. Let me serve on a committee. I'm running a lot of regional programs. So as a regional, I've got access to many chapters, and I get my chapters to collaborate in different ways in that way. And Alina, I hope I'm doing justice to you in this way in terms of how I support you. But that's what I'm doing, is to say that the world of coaching is broader. Those who are willing can come with me. The question is, are you willing as a coach to want to grow and to want to explore? Nobody can do, remember, we've got coachable clients and uncoachable clients. If you're willing to grow, you will grow. Otherwise, you will be stuck where you are and then kind of move from there. I'm not sure if I did justice to that question, Alexander. Alexander is asking very deep questions today. So thank you, Alexander.
Thank you, Malcolm. It's really inspiring story. And I would like to share my view about potential, and of course, to make a question for you. Mm-hmm. For me, potential is about goals and dreams, mm-hmm. and about a difference between them. A goal, it's like some plan for development competencies and some skills. And when we understand what we want, we have this plan, and step by step, we are doing something to reach it. And a dream, it is to get something on a table, yes, for us. Okay, I want this one, but I don't have it at current level of my identity now.
Yeah.
And in your reality cannot be created from the current level of thinking. Yes, and it's about personal transformation, rejections of old habits of thinking and action. And my question, what effective tools do you have to get rid of ineffective thinking and habits to create new ones, and such habits that will change a person and their reality?
Tools are always an interesting one, and I never know how to answer that, but there's a difference between goals, and I can translate it a little. When we look at dream, something that's aspiration, something that I want to one day achieve. So if I come back to my running, so I grew up in a community where traveling internationally is not a thing. In the colored community in Cape Town, South Africa, it's all about hustling for day to day. That's it. If you do more than that, it's like you're doing something that's foreign to all of us. And I really wanted to do the Berlin Marathon. Berlin Marathon, I think most of us know, is the one course where the record got broken the most times. And I decided in 2012, I want to do Berlin Marathon. And that is the dream. I had to turn that dream into a particular goal, because a dream is the idea, a goal is the absolute thing defined to achieve. Remember, I want to do Berlin Marathon. That's my dream. My goal was I want to do it in 2017, at least. What did I need to do? Then I needed to bring in and actually put action plans in place. Do my finances differently, do this differently, And I started off with a 500 Rand. Okay, 500 Rand, I've got no idea what's it in dollars. I think probably about $50 a month in a unit trust. Now you say, how do you ever get to a Berlin Marathon with $50 a month over 5 years? It doesn't make sense. Whatever bonuses I got, Now, when we look at a goal and a dream, question is, can you translate your dream, which sometimes sounds silly even to ourselves, into a goal that says, this is what I would like to achieve? And then once you've got the goal there, it becomes more tangible and the reality sets in, which means that I can plan. Now, something that is very important for every coach is that we need to have an aspirational goal, which is our vision. As a coach, do you have a vision for yourself? Do you have a vision of where you want to aspire to be as a professional? Do you have a vision about where it is that you want to see your clients to be? So you need to draft a vision statement for yourself, which is that dream part that you're talking about. So the thing that's aspirational, somewhat almost unreachable. Linked to a vision, there's also a mission. And the mission tells us how we are going to do that when we get there. But the mission then becomes a daily reality in our lives to say that as ICF coaches, our vision is that coaching is an integral part of transforming society. And then when we look at our mission, how is it that we're going to do? We're going to have great, credible coaches, develop the market in this way, be awareness and advocate and all those things. So as a coach, that's very important between dreams and goals, is that why not translate that dream into a vision? Yes, it is a little bit stretched, but that's fine. It needs to be aspirational. And then bring your goal into your mission, is to say that this is what we're going to achieve and this is how we're going to do it. And understand that nothing happens overnight. There's a journey that we all go through, and then you can put your action plans in it. In 2017, I landed in Berlin. I ran the Berlin Marathon. I didn't have a cent to pay on credit card because everything that I had no debt when I left there in terms of having to pay credit card or anything, because there was a dream, the vision was there, set a goal, and put the action plans in terms of that goal. And when we explore our potential that we want to explore lies within our dream. When you kind of picture yourself winning something, Coach of the Year award, as an example. That's the dream. And then once you're able to picture it, why not write it down and then start translating it into action to be able to. I know that ICW2024 achieve or the chapter, right, Alina? Was the chapter recognition award. That's the dream goal, and we're going to make it a reality as well as we move forward to that. Did I answer you, Alina?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. But it isn't my dream. It is my goal, Malcolm.
Here we go.
Okay.
We got the goal going, yes. Chapter recognition award.
Yes, yes.
We got another hand up.
Okay. Maria. Марія, в тебе питання? Бери мікрофон.
Thank you. It's a very interesting conversation and very inspiring atmosphere here. And my question is about big world. You said some important things about big world. We researched the topic multicultural communication and multicultural coaching.
Yep.
And it's like two parts of my question. One, first is, do you have some interesting cases or insights about this when you go to big world and you are who you are with the part of your identity, of your nationality? And second question is about some challenges. Sometimes we communicate with cultures, not just national cultures. For example, corporative cultures who have different thoughts about human rights, about diversity, about it's important to be honest, or it's good to be sly and high result person. Do you have some good insights for us? It's very important to know your experience. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, it's a big world out there, and multicultural and all of these things. It is a blessing, but it's also a challenge for all of us at the same time. So it's a blessing because there's so much differences that can blend together quite nicely. It's a challenge for us, like you said, when there's a cultural difference and we don't understand it. So something that we try to do is to encourage peer-to-peer coaching, but not only within your own culture. We actually kind of communicate and kind of coach coaches from different parts of the world. Last year, South Africa had a three-way agreement. It was South Africa, Nigeria, and Chennai. And those three chapters worked together to do peer-to-peer coaching within that. And the coaches grew in terms of Nigeria is in Africa, South Africa is in Africa, but they are so different. Nigerians are very loud and very boisterous, but very loving. South Africans are a little bit more reserved and those kind of things. And so they got to know the different cultures, the do's and don'ts, without having to change who they are as a person. The one thing that we must never try to do is to assimilate so much into the big world that I lose who I am. Because then we have more people lost than what we have to help. And then, yeah, so that's, I'm not sure if I'm getting to the answer on that one. So the one thing is expose yourself to the big world, expose yourselves in different ways where you can actually network. Steve mentioned that virtual community, right? Which is still coming, but you don't have to wait for the virtual community. You go onto LinkedIn, you put in International Coaching Federation, and you look at which chapters are there. And you kind of follow those chapters. You see what the activities are like. You see when they have a program, even during International Coaching Week this week. When you look at it, you say, wait a minute, I want to go visit another chapter. They all have online programs. Let me go and see. And in that way, I build my cultural awareness. Now, cultural awareness does not mean that you need to appropriate their culture and become yours. It means I'm aware, the do's and don'ts. This morning, I'm in Nigeria at the moment. And this morning, we went to the Institute of Directors. You see me in a tie? That's the only reason why you see me in a tie. Because protocols observed there, everybody was in suits and ties and things. And I was told, Malcolm, please come with a tie. I had to 3 weeks mentally prepare myself to wear a tie. I don't like ties. But cultural awareness was, this is important to them. I will wear my tie because it doesn't break my conscience. So that's number one. Maria, am I answering your question? Am I getting there? Okay, so far. What was your second question? There's a second question that you had on that. Just mute. Oh, there we go.
It was about not culture, not ethnic culture, but corporate culture and the values.
Corporate culture, yeah. So when you say corporate culture and values, so one organization will be different to the other one, right? And have you noticed that when a leader joins a particular corporate or entity, there's a misalignment between the leader's values maybe and that entity's values. So when we look at integral coaching as an example, remember we look at the me, I, we, us, and it in this corner, if you complete the whole quadrant. So when I look at I, what are my values? How does it show up into the world? When I, in this particular group, what is that? What I've done when it comes to those values, especially from a corporate culture point of view, because within one company, you will have the corporate culture, but you will have subcultures. And so it's the appreciation of the subcultures, and that one will be different to the other one. Give you an example, accounting versus marketing. Completely two different cultures. The one is like very analytical, very that, and if there's no data to prove it, we're not going to do it. We're not going to pay it because you didn't give us 3 quotes. Marketing, oh, that looks nice. Let's buy that. And if there's any marketing people here, I do apologize. But that's been my experience. So you can see the cultures are different. The vibe of people are different. Question is, how do we integrate cultures to a point that they don't lose their identity, but still coexist? And that is an important thing. You mentioned something that's very important, which is then the values. How do we define that value? So one of my entry points in terms of any discussion with individuals and with teams is, what does these values mean to you as an entity? So as a team, when we say respect, when we say innovation, when we say pushing beyond boundaries, what does that mean for you? And so even though Malcolm has got his culture that is coming from home, there is a corporate culture that we now co-create that definition in terms of that. When we talk about accountability, be open enough to say, yes, I can, no, I can't. Those kind of things. Am I almost there? Am I hot? Am I warm? Am I cold to the answer? Thank you. Cool. All right.
Thank you, Malcolm. Do you know, it's about our topic. We had this conversation in ICF Turkey last week, and we were speaking about, we were talking about
collaboration.
Unleash potential collaboration, cooperation. And it is the same story for me, because we need to communicate with our people, with our teams, with our community. And yes. We need to communicate between organizations in local market. And of course, we need to communicate wider and communicate between countries, between international companies. And it is everything about development of potential. And it's really a great opportunity to develop our mindset and to understand different universes. Yes, because everyone is, it's a huge universe. Yes, and we need to meet each other to understand how my universe works, how your works, and it is about development. And the same between organizations, between huge communities, between countries. And it is about potential, about coaching, and about creating future.
Definitely. And something about collaboration that strengthens you is that you're actually collaborating with somebody that has got a skill that you don't. By being in the presence of that somebody or that group of people, you don't become like them, but you learn the skills that they have. So that is important. If you want to grow as a coach, work with people that are different to you. And so I collaborate with people that are brilliant MCCs and doing whatever they do. I collaborate with coaches who are 21 years old because they bring a different dynamic into my life in one way or the other. So I work the entire spectrum, and that, I think it keeps me young, but besides keeping me young, it also gives me a perspective of the market that's there. So when I work with the young coaches, I understand that when I speak to the Gen Zs and the millennials, this is what's important to them. And the alphas are coming now. So that is even going to be a different. And I'm ancient now. When I work with those that's more experienced than me, I learned tools of the trade that I've never knew. And so it's always when you collaborate with people, and I think that's one of the things is, if ICF Ukraine chapter members can collaborate with each other, you will actually build quite a strong powerhouse. Because as much as we're all from Ukraine and we're all part of this chapter, we're all different. And that thing about our values, what are our values as coaches that we bring together and unite us? And for me, the biggest competency, the biggest one, is curiosity. If you can master curiosity and not formulate an assumption or a judgment before you've asked a curious question, you will be able to be the coach that you need to be. Because in that curiosity, the client feels heard and the client feels understood, and you are able to work with them at that point.
Thank you. Totally agree with you. Thank you, Malcolm. I appreciate your time. Yes. Thank you that you came to us, joining us with our celebration of International Coaching Week in Ukraine. Many, many thanks. And I wish you a great coaching week in different countries. I know that you have a lot of invitations. So I wish you all the best, and thank you that you are with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina, and thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure being here.